Okay, good.
How long do you think this will go, Rachel?
I don't think it's super long, like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So, okay, Logan, are you all set?
I think
We're all set.
We're set
Okay, perfect.
and
All right,
recording.
we're ready. You ready, Congressman?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you really briefly. I'll just say, jump right in. Okay.
Great.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me. Today we're with Congressman Ken Buck. He's an active member of the House Judiciary Committee, but specifically a member of the Antitrust Subcommittee, which is going to be hearing from Big Tech on Monday. You're going to face the CEOs of Apple, Amazon, but to set that up, this is not the only investigation that Big Tech is under right now. The FTC, DOJ, the state attorneys general, all of them are also investigating Big Tech on any number of areas related to antitrust. So if you can set it up a little bit about how the work the subcommittee is doing kind of fits into that broader investigatory landscape.
Sure. Well, I think our job in Congress is to make sure that the laws are relevant to the marketplace that we are looking at right now. So obviously antitrust laws developed 100 years ago to regulate the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and others, updated to regulate Ma Bell and some of the telecommunications firms that were in control of the marketplace, and they really haven't been updated. So what I'm hoping from this hearing is to really examine closely the kind of behavior that's going on, whether it's anti-competitive or not, and then make sure that the regulators have the tools that they need to address anti-competitive behavior in the tech marketplace. And that's something I don't think has really happened at this point.
So there's been a little bit of debate, it seems like, between Republicans and Democrats on the format of the hearing, if other members were going to be allowed to come, how long each member was going to have to ask questions. So can you just set up a little bit for the format of how things are going to go tomorrow or on Monday?
Sure. There'll be an opening statement from the chairman, David Cicilline, the ranking member, Jim Sensenbrenner. There will be an opening statement from the chairman of the whole committee, Jerry Nadler, as well as the ranking member of the whole committee, Jim Jordan. Then we will go into 5-minute questioning, starting with the chairman, ranking member, going down the line. And then we will have a second round of 5-minute questioning. There were all kinds of discussions earlier about should we extend that to 10 minutes, should we allow other members to attend? And I think ultimately they decided to go with regular order, what they have done in the past.
Okay. So, as you are no doubt aware, that you have CEOs from various areas of tech in front of you, and not all of tech is created equal, right? You have Apple in the device market, Amazon owns half the internet, but they also participate very aggressively in the retail space. Google owns the world's information, and Facebook pretty much owns our social interaction. So how do you foresee each question being dealt to each CEO? Because it's going to be different for each of them.
So I think in terms of antitrust behavior, what we're looking at is the one area, one bucket would be the acquisition of these by these very large companies of smaller companies. And was the acquisition intended to suppress competitive behavior, or was the acquisition intended to develop a new product line? Then I think the second area is these companies have such dominance with their platforms, and yet they have gone out and created separate businesses to compete against smaller businesses that are using the platform and trying to bring in customers through the platform. So a company like Pop Sockets that goes on the back of a phone that helps someone hold their phone when they're talking, does that company and that company uses Amazon to sell its product, and Amazon starts a product that is similar, and how is that relationship set up, and is it a relationship that will continue to create innovation in America?
Yeah, speaking of pop sockets and that relationship between sort of the smaller retailers or innovators and big tech, you participated in a field hearing in your home state of Colorado in January that really looked at this question and I think stunned a lot of people who paid attention to it because you heard from these small businesses that, you know, really had claims against big tech in really anti-competitive behavior, going so far as to copy some of their intellectual property or inventions. And so do you think that this is an issue that deserves more attention from conservatives than it's currently getting? Because conservatives are the party of the small entrepreneur or the party of small business.
Well, it's interesting because I think conservatives are the party of small business. I think conservatives are also the party of less government regulation, and so we have two conflicting principles really at play here. And I think that what we need to make sure that we do is we give government the right tools, the right resources to create as much innovation as we can in the marketplace and to fight back against as much anti-competitive behavior as there is in the marketplace. But at the same time, we don't create an agency, either the FTC or the Antitrust Division at the Department of Justice, that is so large and cumbersome that it stifles innovation in the marketplace. Oftentimes, these major corporations welcome more regulation. You know, Dodd-Frank was for big banks because the small community banks couldn't comply with regulations gobbled up by the bigger banks. So the idea that something is too big to fail got even worse after an ill-conceived law like Dodd-Frank. So I'm very cognizant of and worried about creating something like Dodd-Frank that would stifle innovation in the marketplace.
Yeah, so I want to drill down on that a little bit further because, you know, you have the antitrust enforcement divisions looking into big tech, but Congress, as you've pointed out, has a little bit of a different role, right? Because you're not the antitrust enforcers necessarily. So what is the role that Congress should play here? Because sometimes it's just investigatory. Sometimes it's just uncovering, you know, looking under rocks and seeing if things are working correctly. But, you know, you do want to be careful and not act too aggressively. So how would you describe Congress's role as it relates to this hearing, but also more broadly with the question of big tech?
Yeah, I think Congress really has two roles here. One is, as you say, shine the light on the situation to make sure people understand what's going on. And part of that is really developing a public consensus that change needs to occur, if in fact change does need to occur. And then the second issue for me is that we update the antitrust laws if they need to be updated to make sure that they are applicable to the tech industry. And I think that's a big part of what we're going to see with the hearing on Monday.
So how does all of this end in your view? You know, the committee's going to issue a report and DOJ and FTC and the state attorneys general are going to continue to do their work. But for Congress, where do y'all go from here? Sort of the end of this process with the subcommittee, where does Congress go from here? What do you expect?
Well, Rachel, you know as well as I do that not much happens in a presidential election year, much less, the last 100 days of a presidential election campaign cycle. So I don't expect to see any earth-shattering laws passed between now and the end of December. So it's really going to be our job to investigate, to develop as much as we can a bipartisan report, and to make sure that we are putting information out there about why legal changes need to happen if that's the conclusion we reach. And then I think the next Congress, hopefully we have created some momentum so that these issues will be addressed in the next Congress, and I hope laws passed that will help, as we've said, create innovation and make sure that we are not allowing anti-competitive behavior in the marketplace.
So the last thing I want to ask you is actually not something that will be addressed at the hearing on Monday, but I know something that you've worked a lot on, and that is TikTok. You recently had an amendment pass on the floor that says, you know, TikTok should not be allowed on government-issued devices. So in your opinion, how big of a national security threat is TikTok, and should Congress be addressing this more aggressively?
It's interesting that you raised TikTok in a discussion about antitrust issues, because I think there are some of these companies that we will be talking to this coming week that are cheaters, and they have cheated and they have harmed smaller businesses, figuring that they could just get away with it. And when we talk about cheaters, there is no bigger cheater in the marketplace than China. And I think that Red China has, in particular with TikTok, has introduced apps and other technology into this country so that they could gather information. And God forbid there's ever a conflict between the United States and China, but if there is, they will be better prepared for a cyber warfare aspect of that conflict. And I think that we have to take TikTok very seriously, because it is a device that is gathering information and will be used by an adversary at the worst possible time. It looks cute, it looks fun, it appeals to a younger generation, and they think it's really hip to send information out. What they don't realize is that a lot of their information is being gathered in that process.
Well, thank you, sir, for your time and for looking ahead and foreshadowing a little bit of what to expect on Monday. I'm sure we're all going to be tuning in. This is a hot TV here in Washington, so we probably all need more lives than we have. But
Rachel, great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right, talk soon.
Bye-bye.